Hello. Hey, and welcome to Conversations at the Well. I am Desireé Brown, and this is my amazing husband.
What's my name?
Vernon Brown. And we are so glad to be back here. This is season
2. We made it through a season, y'all.
We made it through a season. It's kind of crazy because we ended last season on episode 20.
Was it?
It was episode 20.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know how you know that. I just posted them.
Yeah, I looked today and I was like, oh wow, we did 20 episodes, but that in and of itself is pretty crazy.
When did we start? Was it it wasn't January, was it?
No, I think it was kind of just a random mid-year kind of thing. Yeah. So we did some things, and so we're really looking forward to continuing our conversations with you all, with one another. And I think we need to go ahead and just hop in.
Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
You ready to get started for this year?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So one thing that I didn't do to prime this episode, and I probably should just do it right now.
Okay.
And that is to tell you all that we're going to be talking about just a recap of everything that happened. Well, maybe not everything. We can't tell you everything, but just some of the highlights that happened in 2024. Things that what was 2024 about?
Yeah.
And then we can move into this year, 2025.
That might need to be a separate episode.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot.
It is going to be a lot. But
so for this episode, we're talking about 2024.
Yes.
What happened, our wins, our losses, and maybe tease a little bit about what we're expecting for 2025.
Yeah.
Boom.
Let's do it.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So Vernon.
No. Wait. How are you going to ask me the first question?
I just was saying hi.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Yeah. So I mean, I have no complaints at this point right now, but I don't know. I mean, we've been really, this year has already started off like full throttle.
Yeah, and you ditched them for like the last 2 months of last year.
I did. I mean, it was not intentional. Really, we were planning to do a fefew more episodes before the end of the year.
But we were traveling and a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I don't even remember if it was last before my mom had her surgery. Like it was just a lot of things going on.
And it just kept happening. It kept happening.
Yeah.
It kept happening.
And so
kept happening.
So life did what it did, and here we are. But now we have an entire 20 episodes that we completed. We're here in 2025 now, and we're ready to get started and just like introduce some new things in this year. So you told me not to ask the first question, so I'm going to turn it over to you so you can direct how you want to direct.
So first and foremost, I think it's a great and difficult question to ask. If you had to sum up 2024 in one, maximum 3 words,
okay,
it can either be a phrase or they can be completely different. How would you do that? I think the first word for me, while you're thinking about it, would probably be... Usually I'm able to like think of something while I'm asking. But let's see, 2024. I think well, I have 4 words.
Oh man, are you breaking your rules?
But it's a phrase. I would say, 5 words. Finding value in weird places.
Finding value in weird places.
Yeah.
Okay, let's expand on that.
First of all, when I say that, does that make sense? Is it like, oh yeah, I can see that? Or are you like, what the heck is he talking about?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
well, for me, like when we were writing down some of the things that were most, not impactful, but the things that kind of jarred us or hit us most or were really important to us. And I know for me, it was like a list of weird stuff, and not weird from the perspective of like anybody else wouldn't be excited about it, but just for who I am. And
Go ahead.
For who I am and what I usually like want to accomplish. It was just different and weird stuff. So for example, we have this little not program, what do you call it? Like journal. Yeah. We found this journal at Open Invitation Stationery here in Canton, and it's really, really awesome because it helps you guide your reflection on the year before and then also set your tone for the year going forward. And one of the questions they had was what was the question? Do you remember?
No.
It was like, what was one of your major wins, or what was something that you saw to be really impactful? And as I thought about this year, usually it would be things like business or customers or money and things like that. But probably the thing that I'm most proud of over last year was we had hosted or planned or kicked off, or what do you want to call, Vacation Bible School at our church.
Yeah.
And it was something that probably was pretty low on my priority list. Like, I mean, Vacation Bible School, we all had it, and different people had different experiences, but, it was really pushed by one of our friends who, really kind of got in there and said, no, it needs to be better, it needs to be bigger, it needs to be more exciting. And just to sit back and see all of the kids so excited about learning, so excited about, talking about God, the full armor of God and all of that stuff, I was just kind of surprised at how impactful that was to me.
Yeah.
Because it was just, I don't know, it was just refreshing to see kids in that environment where, I think a lot of us, if we're honest, would say, when you're growing up in church, or when you're growing up going through things, you're kind of going through the motions. Yeah. You're kind of just doing what's necessary. But to see them actually excited and running around and enjoying and learning and really thirsty for the word and the things that we were teaching them, to me, that was like really impactful. And I think that was surprising. So I think for me, as I look back on 2024, finding value in strange places, weird places. What did I say? Weird places.
Yeah.
For me, because I would usually look over here, but a lot of the value we found was over there.
Well, I get that, and I think that that's a really good example. Shoot down my answer, no, I think that that's one thing. But can you share like another example? Because I think people are like, "Why is that weird?" That's not weird.
It's weird for me.
Well, give us another example, and also give us like maybe why you thought it was weird.
Okay. So one thing for the well, I think where I would expect to find value would be how much money we made and how many customers came through the door. And those things were great, and we're appreciative of those things. But I think what was most impactful was just finding out how much people suffer in silence. And what I mean by that is like the women come in, or the people come in, I should say. They come in, they smile. I usually try to greet them at the front door, give them a once over to see, how you really doing and all of that. And so many people are just like, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And they would just continue walking if you didn't ask them another question, if you didn't dive any deeper. And when you take the time to do so, you find out that people are going through some crazy stuff. Yeah. They have a lot of things on their shoulders and a lot of things and burdens that they're carrying. And if you are complacent or comfortable with just the first answer of I'm doing fine, people can go and live life suffering through some of the most difficult things, and no one else would know the difference. Right. Even more so than that, people will like, they'll come consistently and then they'll drop off the face of the earth for like a week or 2 weeks. And what I've been trying to do this year is a better job of just reaching out to them and saying, hey, not come back to class, come back, give us some more money, but rather come, hey, what's going on in your life? You had a cadence going on here. This is different. And, we just want to check in to see how you are doing. Yeah. If you life just got busy, cool. But a lot of times what we found is that when their habits change, things are going on in their life. And the more I've sent those messages and the more I've talked with some of our members, it's like, wait, somebody died, or wait, you're dealing with mental health issues, or wait, something crazy has come up in your life. Yeah. And so I think when we're talking about finding value in weird places, it's being able to impact people's lives in a way where you just wouldn't expect. Like, I think it's standard for a business to want money, but it's not so standard for a business to care enough to want to recognize, well, what's going on with you? Like, right. Is there something you want to talk about, or just giving someone something that can really brighten their day, I think has gone a long way.
Yeah. I think
is that a better answer for you?
It's a much better answer, actually. And hopefully the audience agrees with that.
They don't agree with you.
But I think what I'm hearing is that although the initial intent was to set out for more measurable goals, things like financial goals, maybe head counts, and maybe engagement. We talked about that word, engagement. But we talked about that. But what we found was greater purpose in what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think we set out for greater purpose, but I'm just not sure. I don't know. It's still surprising. Like, and it's still. it's I don't want to use the word saddening, but I just use the word weird because that's my cop-out word. It's weird to look in the eyes of people.
Saddening.
It's weird to look in the eyes of people that, you know, you've built a relationship with or that you've grown to care about, and to realize that a lot of them have no one. Like, they have no one to just check on them and be like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? No one to talk to, no one who just wants to talk to them. And I think, you know, if we can give people an opportunity to be seen, I don't know. I just think it's really impactful. And it's something that I think we set out to do, but I'm just not sure that we recognize that it would be at the level that it is. Not to blow it up more than it is, but just to say, I don't recognize it would. I don't think we recognize it would have the impact in people's lives that we've been able to have. Does that make sense?
I agree. I think, I think we did set out to have purpose, but I think that we didn't. I think the purpose became more defined in the last year. What do I mean by that?
No, you've been open a year and a half. Like,
okay, the year and a half.
Yeah,
but
well, I'm just saying, like, I think we're still figuring out what it is. Like, there are plans and there are things that are written, but it's kind of telling us what it needs to be over time. Exactly.
And so we experienced some growth in 2024, and I think that's kind of standard. Like, year to year, you should have some level of growth, but we experienced growth in the business for sure, and also like the things that are a part of the business, but not really it's not the business as far as like the numbers. It's the impact. We experienced that growth. So yeah, I understand that and I get it, and that actually is maybe my word or words.
Don't be stealing my words.
It's growth, but it was growth under pressure, and
Make sure you didn't go over the limit.
You went over, so I think growth under pressure or growth, maybe not pressure, maybe that's not the right word. It was just stress. Stress would be a good growth under stress. I don't know, but we'll say under pressure.
Okay.
And for me, I felt like I was met with more personal challenges in 2024 than I remember in recent years. Okay. And I mean, that came from a number of different directions. Some of them were related to how people see me or perceive me in the world, which made me reflect on who do I see myself as, and, you know, is the assessment that other people have of me, is that actually true, or is that colored by their experience or what have you? I could go into it in more detail, but we'll just leave it there for now, unless you ask the question. And then, and I think that there were also some, y'all know that I went through my kind of why am I doing these things kind of experience, like really reflecting on for what, like with all the things that I had going on and on my plate, like why, what is the purpose? And I think that reflection really made me be more conscious about what I'm doing, how I'm spending my time, and made me really pull back on a lot of different things.
Do you think those two things are attached? And what I mean is, on one hand, you talked about, why am I doing this stuff? Like, is it even valuable or worthwhile? And then on the other hand, it's how are people perceiving what it is that I'm doing? Is that positive, negative, true, or false? And do you think those two things are combined? Because one could say that if you have a true vision on what you're doing and why, then maybe others' opinions of what you're doing don't really matter as much because you know your what and you know your why.
Yeah.
Do you think those are attached or separate?
Yeah, I think all of it was, I feel like all that happened last year was to challenge me to just think about, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And I'm skipping ahead, but for this year, that means I've made some changes based on the based on things that happened last year.
Okay.
Where I am being more intentional about the things that I'm choosing to do, how I'm choosing to do it, why I'm choosing to do it. And I won't say that's in everything, because my I guess my baseline is to just be like, ooh, do. But excuse me, but that was really challenged because I found myself just like feeling like I was spinning wheels and going nowhere. Not to say that I was going nowhere, but it was just like, it felt that way. So yeah, I think all of those things came up in that timing for a reason.
Okay. So growth under pressure, duress, stress, whatever adjective you want to put in there.
Yeah.
And then value in weird places.
Yeah.
So was the year good? Because those kind of sound.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because if I reflect on the year, it wasn't a bad year. It wasn't like I would stamp that like, oh, file it away, never want to go back kind of a year. But it was just like a growth for me anyway. Just the process of growing is not comfortable. Like it's going to make you uneasy. It's going to make you question. It's going to make you stress sometimes. But that's just like the process of it. And so I'm grateful for those experiences because I think I've come into this year with a lot more clarity and a lot more, or at least some direction, where I don't think I came into the 24 with that same level of clarity or direction. I was just kind of like, all right, let's just ride it out and see what happens. And boy, did it happen. So no, I wouldn't say that it was a bad year. I'm grateful for even the challenges because I think that the challenges help you learn quicker.
Yeah.
You know,
why can't we learn through easy stuff?
I don't know. I would really, really like that. I think that would be like ideal, but it's just like when it stings, when it hurts, when it makes you uncomfortable, you remember that thing a whole lot better than if you just kind of coasting.
Yeah.
I
think for me, 2024 was so weird. Like it wasn't a bad year, but it wasn't like a stair step year. It was kind of like a sidestep in my eyes, although I do feel like there was a lot of growth that happened, but it wasn't growth in ways that I recognize. So it's like, does that make sense?
It wasn't growth in numbers.
Yeah.
Well, even though that did happen though.
Yeah, but it I don't know. It was like, like it was good, but it was like,
Yeah. I think it was a preparation year.
Maybe. I don't like those.
Well,
I think they're necessary.
I was going to say you can't walk till you crawl. You can't, or I should say you can't run till you walk.
Can't walk till you run.
Okay. You're going to go from crawling to running. But I do think that there was a process that both of us were going through at the same time to kind of prep us and prime us for whatever is coming. Lord help us.
So with that in mind, if you had to, I don't want to say judge, or I don't want to say the word judge, but if you had to blank my 2024, how would you do that?
I had to.
I just blanked
if
the
I
verb.
had to blank.
Like describe, judge,
Your
whatever word you want to speak into how I view 2024, what would that be? If anything, you may be like, like I was, or like I am.
How would I describe 2024 for you?
Or if it would be helpful, I can do you first.
Okay.
So I would say,
I'll take that.
I would say, I think 2024 for you was almost like yes. So in the Bible, a prophet has a servant, and the prophet and the servant are surrounded by their enemies, and they're like on every side, and the servant is like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And the prophet prays and says, open his eyes so he can see. And then so the God or the Holy Spirit opens his eyes, and he can see that although they are surrounded, their enemies are surrounded by angels who can protect them and fight for them and fight their battles. And I think for you, 2024 was a lot of that eye-opening process to say, this is what is really happening, or this is how you're spending your time, or this is what you're doing, or this is how you're impacting the world, which is great that your eyes are opened. But I think what we often miss in that story is that there's still a time where, okay, I can see this, but what am I going to do next? Am I going to go back to worrying as soon as the enemies who are natural start walking towards me? Or am I going to have faith that the angels surrounding are going to fight the battles? And so I think now that your eyes have been opened, the question is now for 2025, like, what are you going to do about it? Like, are you going to, with having the knowledge that you have, still do the same thing? Or are you going to go do different things? Or, I think the opportunities are just endless. It's just a matter of, okay, now with your knowledge and what you've seen and been exposed to, how does that impact what you do next? Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I mean, I guess it's to be seen. Mm-hmm. I know what my intention is. Mm-hmm. My intention is to walk forward with faith because I think God he's showed me himself so many ways. Mm-hmm. And it's about time that I start believing him, Mm-hmm. So I think I've been, at least with the first few days of 2025, I think that I have approached it in that way. Mm-hmm. I have literally told, like, when worry began to, my baseline worry, when that started to roll up, or, I'm starting to, and then it was like, no. What did God say? Mm-hmm. Believe it. And then I continue on forward with a different faith, mm-hmm. or not a different faith, just with faith. Yeah. And I continue forward with just trusting God in a way that I haven't fully embraced before. Mm-hmm. And so it's been working out pretty well for me. Now that I've said that out loud, I feel like I'm about to get another challenge, but that is my intention. That's what I'm moving forward with. And then I think for you, I mean, the word that came to mind, and I think I'm gonna have to explain this, is reckoning. What I mean by that
sounds really negative.
No. I don't. It's not a bad thing, but I think it's just you coming, maybe similar, maybe in a similar way that you were describing for me, but you coming into the realization that you can. By the numbers, you can be extremely successful. You are very successful by the numbers, but your purpose extends far beyond that. Okay. And so I think you're beginning to see that more and see how those are not the only. That's not the only measurement. That's not the only thing that shows progress. If you can't measure it, you're very uncomfortable with it being like something. Like you're uncomfortable. If you can't measure it, you're like, does it count? But it counts. Mm-hmm. And I think you're beginning to see that and recognize that, and it doesn't exclude or diminish the measurable things. Mm-hmm. It just says that, that's one thing, but more and more. Mm-hmm. And I think that this year kind of did that for you, just in the things that were most impactful to you, the things that you described.
But I think there's two ways to look at that, though.
Okay.
It could be like, yay, I understand now. Or it could be that nothing measurable happened, so this is what I resort to, or this is the only thing I have left.
But I mean, you literally came up with a by the numbers end of the year review of the business, which was amazing. Mm-hmm. So it's not that nothing happened. It's not that there wasn't success that was actually measurable. Mm-hmm. It's just that, okay, that was good. And this was the most impactful, though. Mm-hmm. This is the thing I cannot measure. There's no way for me to know how much me showing love to people and reaching out to them and just kind of digging a little bit deeper and asking a few more questions and giving to them in a time where they were just feeling really down or really overwhelmed or just really sad or whatever. There's no way to
quantify that.
quantify that, but that meant the most in the last year. So it was a reckoning of yes, that matters, and more.
Got you.
Does that make sense?
It does.
It doesn't.
No, it makes sense. I don't like it, but it makes sense.
But yeah, that would be how I would describe it.
Got you. Okay.
But for you, I mean, I don't know. Did you leave 2024 with? I would imagine you did. But what? Okay, let me just ask a question. What was your biggest lesson learned? Like, what are you taking from 24 and like, okay, I'm moving forward with this beautiful gym or gyms.
They're gyms.
Lessons learned.
Let me think. I don't know. Am I missing a gym?
Probably.
Like 2024 was, in my opinion, if 2024 happened or didn't happen, it's like, to me, it's not. It's like Jenga. 2024 wasn't one of the blocks you plucked, and it's like, oh, that one will come out easy, and you pull it out.
So it was easy for you?
Not from the perspective of easy, but from the perspective of how it, in my opinion, how it impacted the structural soundness of the structure we call life. It was like, and nothing swayed or moved, if that makes sense.
Huh. Interesting. That is a weird assessment because I'm like,
well, I think it on the, because there was nothing that was like big or momentous or like super shifting.
Oh, because there was a lot of big momentous and super shifting things for me. Well, you just don't look at it the same way that I do.
Like, I mean, our life has been kind of crazy, and I don't think there was much like crazy like we would define as crazy. Do you disagree?
Oh yes.
Like, I mean, there was a year where you moved from your hometown to a different place. There was a year where like you bought a wreck. Like,
yeah, that was the same year.
There was nothing like that that kind of happened.
Well, for me, okay, going back to the Jenga analogy.
Mm-hmm. So is it a loose block for you, or was it like you pulled it out and it was like, whoa?
Oh, it shook for me. Oh yeah,
you were shaking.
I was shaking, but I think for
you think I was shaking?
No.
Okay.
But I think that we view things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So in using the same analogy, you're like, oh, you just flick that block out.
Like, the middle one you pluck and it just...
No, I get it. We're going with the analogy. Okay. So it was that...
you lose Jenga all the time, so I wasn't sure if you knew the strategy.
But I also win all the time too. So I actually really like that analogy because even though you didn't feel like it changed the structural soundness of it, mm-hmm. any block you move changes the structural soundness of the structure. So you may not have maybe felt it in a big way, mm-hmm. but every other move is based on that one block moving. What
I think I hear you saying is like, if you take out the middle block, the side blocks became more important, and it impacts you in the future, but maybe not now.
You just it's not seen yet, mm-hmm. how this past year will impact you.
Do you think I'm wrong?
About the structural
about
soundness?
That analogy, and like for me the year being,
I think it's just telling of your personality because I think that there were some really big things that happened, and we are we're actually feeling some of the impact of that stuff now.
Yeah.
So the blocks are still moving, mm-hmm. and it's like, okay, well, how is this going to work out? You mm-hmm. know? So I think you maybe didn't put a lot of emphasis on it, but I think it was more impactful, and it's to be seen how impactful those things were.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
So, or as we continue on through this year and into as many years as the Lord decides to bless us with. So, yeah, I don't know. Because for me, I mean, oh my gosh, like, I felt like I went through the ringer.
Really?
I do. Because relationships are very important to me. And a lot of relationships last year changed. Or they became just a little, changed. It's like they became different. That's the same thing as change. Yeah. That's redundant. But things are different. I mean, we haven't even talked about it like on this episode. But I mean, we came to Canton with two things that we felt that God was guiding us towards, right? The two things were helping to build the church that we were a part of, and then to start the well. So we came here, we did both. But one of those things is very different now. I'm going to go ahead and say it. We are no longer there at the church. So, I mean, that's huge for me. For me, so now I'm like, God, what's happening now? Like, where are we now? And what does this change mean? And where, like, are we staying here? Are we going? Like, what's happening, God? I feel like there's preparation and foundations being laid, or maybe the foundations already have been laid, and we're just still in the building process. But where are we building now? What's happening? And so I felt like that was a shakeup. I felt like, so I mentioned that my mom had her surgery, and I felt like that was a reckoning for me, reckoning again, where it's just the reminder, like I'm their only child, and they're getting older, and things are changing, and it made me think, like, okay, like, how does this dynamic play out? We're here, they're there. Like, what is this looking like, and how do I support them from a distance if I'm still here? You know, Lord, are you going to move us closer? I don't know. I have no idea how that's going to play out, but those things have changed. And then just with us leaving the church, some of the relationships at the church changed. For a number of reasons. And so, yeah, I mean, I was not exactly like happy about all of those things, because I love the people, I love the church, and it changed, and it's still changed. It's different, and the clarity that I had for us doing that, coming here and helping to do that work, I also had the same level of clarity that it was time for us to leave. But I don't have a level of clarity as to where we're going now or what we're going to do next. But I do have the experience with God to know that he'll make that clear too.
And so, I guess you're right that we look through things differently, because to me that means I can kick up my feet and relax and like.
I think if you are from the perspective of God's done with you, then yes, that makes sense.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
Okay.
Why you say it like that?
Because I want you to explain why you don't agree.
Okay. No, because it's like, well, I guess you're not wrong. But it's kind of like, okay, well, I mean, I've task one, task whatever, complete. Like,
with the understanding that God doesn't just want to. He's not that's not exactly, especially if you did the task, right? If you completed the task, it's not like, oh yeah, you're done, let me shelve you over here. It's like, okay, you completed that. That's level 1. Let's go to next level.
That's true. It would be kind of nice though. It's like, hey, relax.
You just ride it out. I mean, but I do think it is a season of rest for us. I mean, I do think that that's true. And I think enjoy it. I think we should like be taking the time to actually enjoy.
Sleep in on Sundays.
We've been doing a little bit of that.
No, you've been having us go to church.
Yeah, but you haven't been waking up at 4 a.m. to prep and all of that stuff.
That's true.
So it's different.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So it's a season. I do think it's a season of rest. But I think that the rest seasons come because there's more work that's following. So I do think we enjoy it. I think we I think we just enjoy the ride. And actually that's what I got in prayer. Probably the end of last year. It's like, this is a season of rest. Like, you've been having your hands on the steering wheel. You're not even the driver though. Like, get your hands off the steering wheel. Let me drive. Not get in the trunk, but get in the back seat, and don't try to tell me where to go. That's what God basically told me. Like, don't be a backseat driver. I just need you to.
I knew he and I were aligned.
Yeah, well, yes, but just like, enjoy the ride. What I heard very clearly is, I need you. I want you to enjoy the ride. And I thought about that a lot, because I was like, what does it mean to enjoy the ride? Ride. I'm so like, like that. You're clearly not enjoying it.
You see those brake lights?
Yeah, like, you're clearly not enjoying it if you're paying so much attention to what the driver's doing or should be doing.
Yes.
And God didn't even put me in the passenger seat. He was like, get in the back seat.
Yes.
And so that's almost like, I guess it doesn't mean this.
Get in the trunk.
It doesn't mean this. Hush. Let me finish. So it's not like. Being in the passenger seat is almost like a co-navigator, right? Like, you
think your opinion matters, and like, I'm sorry.
We're about to fight on this podcast.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you still kind of have some responsibilities in the passenger seat, give or take, depending on who's driving, and
my passenger always sleep.
Your passenger is not always sleep. Your passenger used to always sleep, but then you get mad because you're like, I'm over here driving, you sleep. And I'm like,
hit a right turn, open your door.
So, but now that I'm in the back seat, God has put me in the back seat. I'm like, oh, I can take a nap. I can rest. I don't need to be paying attention to the signs and the warning things and the street, whatever, all the things that happen when you're driving. That's not my role right now. My role is to simply enjoy. My role is to, maybe think, maybe read, maybe just like do some things that are leisurely. And for any other people that get into the car too, which he said, we'll make some stops along the way. They'll people that get in, and enjoy that too. So I don't know what all that means. And so it'll be interesting to see, maybe at the end of this year, reflecting on that.
Yeah. I think it's just kind of like, just taking a season to sit on the beach with your laptop and just relax.
Maybe. Where we going?
I walked into that one.
You did.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you don't think you have any big lessons learned from 2020?
No, I mean, well, I think there are lessons, but like, so one lesson would be, there's some lessons. I just don't remember them right now. You know a lesson?
No, I was just waiting for your lesson to come to mind.
Yeah, it's some lessons. I just can't remember what they are right now. But there's some lessons. It's just that, like, from a milestone perspective, to me, it wasn't like, and maybe we're running out of time. Maybe there's more truth to it. It didn't meet my expectations, and that's why I feel like it was inconsequential. Like, I desired to accomplish, finish more things, and it didn't happen that way. So because of that, I'm like, it was whatever. Does that make sense?
What were some of the things that you were like, what did you expect?
Like I expect the same thing every year, like a bunch of stuff to move, a bunch of stuff to change, a bunch of cool things to happen. And either because it wasn't in the cards, or maybe I wasn't as consistent as I needed to be to make those things happen. It just wasn't. So it was okay year.
So disappointed.
Yeah, like if there was a choice, I would just skip over this year.
Last year.
Like, if I could like pick what years to live, I'd be like, oh yeah, I want that year. 2024,
Okay, because I'm seeing it, and you know this because we've just said this, but I'm seeing it as things had to happen for other things to happen. Like it just doesn't happen where people go from crawling to running. It just doesn't happen.
Okay.
I know you want it to happen.
I think there are situations where like that happens.
Okay. This is more of the typical situation where people have to crawl, then walk, then run. And so I think that I think it's easy to overlook that transition. But even in walking, like there's walking where you're like stumbling around like a little baby just learning to walk, and then there's walking like a full-grown adult who walks with a cadence and a gait that is strong and confident. So there's even levels to walking. And I think that it's hard to see the transition from the unstable walk to the confident cadence walk. And I think that's what 2024 was. Okay. He's still like, I'm disappointed. It did not meet my expectations, and I would rather not have had to do it. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, I wasted a year, but okay.
Wasted. Okay, we'll see what happens in 25, and we'll see if it was actually a waste.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, I think we can stop there. We could just wrap up this episode of episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like we're ending on a down because Vernon's disappointed with 2024. But
that's so good. Well, just take her impression of 2024 because you think it to be better than I. Well, actually, that's not even true.
I think it to have been a year of growth.
Yeah.
For both of us, and sometimes it's you're only able to see how much you grew like after.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see. So we'll see.
I think at the end of 2025, I still think 2024 would have sucked, but we'll go.
We'll see. We'll see. It's to be seen.
Would you like to place a wager?
No. What are you wagering?
I don't know, like $10.
Okay. With 20.
No, dinner at my favorite restaurant. Yes.
Okay.
Done.
All right.
So if I'm disappointed in 2024, at the end of 2025, you take me to my favorite restaurant.
I already know that's not going to change. You're going to be disappointed with 2024.
Well, you already Piggy promised on it.
Well, they saw how that happened. They didn't see me reach over and give you the
my favorite restaurant.
I'll just take you to your favorite restaurant.
Well, know what that means. That means flight. That means hotel.
It means we're going to drive and we're going to stay at my parents' house and we're going to drive there. I just want you to buy. Yeah, it's not going to be that fancy.
Anyway, but I want to know what your 2024s look like. Were you excited about it? Were you happy with the growth that happened and the development that it happened? Or are you kind of like, it's like an inconsequential Jenga block?
We could have just skipped this year.
Just skip the year. Let us know. We'd love to hear how your year has gone. Yeah, love to know how your year has gone.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time at Conversations at the Well. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Bye.
See you later.